Hey guys, let's get started here. Hello, and thanks for taking the time to join this free webinar today. My name is Dale Bateman. I'm a part-time internet marketer living near Toronto, Canada. My background is in graphic design, marketing, and personal training. Plus, I've been building my online business as a part-time internet marketer for almost 4 years. Now, before I get started with today's free webinar, let me share with you what I believe is the #1 mistake that most internet marketers make. And yes, this includes me, especially when they are just getting started. Because I'm truly passionate about wanting to help people achieve more success in their lives, and hopefully you will learn from my mistakes. As you know, many people have had great success online. However, without even realizing it, they were creating only a short-term business model. Why? They didn't build a list. They create a multitude of products to sell online. Some are good, most are not so good. They sell them through forums, affiliates, and advertising. Maybe they make a lot of money. Most of the time they don't. Why? They didn't build a list. Some of the greatest online marketers have had pockets of success by leveraging things like Google AdSense. By implementing simple keyword strategies early on, some brought in a whopping 6-figure income. But then, Google changed the rules, and these once successful online marketers were left with almost nothing. Can you guess why? That's right, they didn't build a list. So why is a good list so important? Quite simply, a quality list will continue to pay you for your quality online content over and over and over again. It all comes down to the trust that you earn from your email list. They learn to trust you because you've taken the time to build a strong relationship with them. So, what's the best way to build a strong, loyal list? That's what we're going to cover in this free webinar series. Now, I want to officially welcome you to this free internet marketing webinar. Let's get started. Grab a pen and some paper to make notes. Once the webinar is over, I'll open the floor for some Q&A. Right now, I'm doing high-level internet marketing and creating automated and passive sources of income online. Plus, I'm enjoying teaching people, just like you, how to do the same thing and make money online. But this time around, I am making sure that everyone on my team is focused on building a list. Don't make the same mistakes that I made. Make sure that you take the strategies you will learn here and use them to build a strong, loyal email list. But remember, when you are successful, make certain that you take time for what's really important in your life. Like spending more time with your family, or maybe doing some traveling you've always wanted to do, or being able to buy that new car you've always wanted. I mean, that's what's so great about working from home. You have the freedom to do what you want, when you want, and as much as you want. Now, let's get to building you a good list. Here's what we'll be covering tonight. This week, we will see how to create a solid marketing strategy for your online business. As you know, every business needs a good marketing strategy, right? While it's pretty easy to set up an online business, many will actually fail. For the ones who don't fail miserably, they tend to have one thing in common: a well thought out and effective marketing strategy. I'll repeat that. A well thought out and effective marketing strategy. So how do we do this? Marketing is so much more than just quote-unquote advertising. And you know why? Because good marketing paints a picture of your business to your prospects. Don't make the mistake of marketing only after everything else is set up and running. You need a firm idea of who your target market is before you can start marketing to them. And to help you do that, guys, tonight I want to go through some questions, and I call them the W5. So I want you to answer the W5 questions about your target audience for your online business. First up, who are they? Who are your target audience? Who is it that you're trying to sell to? And I want you to get very specific about this. Tell me exactly who they are. All right, next up, where are they from? And this doesn't just mean where they live. It can mean what's their background. Where did they go to school? Are they college educated? Are they high school educated? Are they dropouts? What sort of employment have they had? Are they employed now? Are they unemployed? Are they self-employed? This is talking more not necessarily about geographically. Well, that's in part of it, but to a certain degree, where are they from in terms of their background? All right? Next up, what are their interests? This is a very important one because quite often, just think about it yourself. How often do your interests come into play in terms of the things that you're interested in purchasing? Okay? If I'm into cars, let's say, I'm not going to be really totally interested in motorcycles or in horses or in bicycles. If I'm a car enthusiast and cars are one of my interests, then I'm more likely to visit your site and purchase from you if I understand that you have products and services that fit into my interests with cars. Okay? And again, just put yourself in your consumer's shoes to make this more of a reality for you. What's the next W? When. When are they ready to buy? This is a really important one, isn't it? Because people tend to go through stages. Here's an example. Think about when you're driving in your car, and for me, I'm still working full-time. I'm only doing my online business part-time, so I actually have a 45-minute commute each morning and each evening to and from my work. So I've got a lot of time I spend in my car. And, I'm quite often listening to the radio, and I just want you to think about how often when you're driving in your car and you're kind of, you're concentrating and so forth on your driving, but for the most part you're kind of zoned out. You get my drift as to what you're not actually thinking about anything. But what resonates with you as you're sitting there in your car? Quite often it's those radio commercials that you hear over and over and over and over again, isn't it? And that's the real strategy actually behind radio advertising. They want you as a radio advertising purchaser to purchase multiple spots. It could be a daily basis, it could be hourly basis, and they keep running those same spots because you might not hit it on the first time that people hear your ad, and quite often you won't. I don't know if there's ever been a situation where somebody made a purchase the first time they heard a commercial or a radio ad, but there may have been. But in most cases, you have to get your message in front of the ears of that consumer as they're driving in their car, or they're listening to it on the dock or on the deck at home, or in the kitchen in the morning when they're getting the kids ready for school. They have to hear that as many as 11 or 12 times before they would even consider making a decision to think about purchasing that product or service. Okay? Now, obviously, this is how radio stations make their money. And also, we're not just talking about radio, we're talking about television and newspapers, everything. But the key is you really have to stick with it in terms of your marketing. You can't just try something for a while and maybe you don't get great results, then, give up. That's not the way to approach it. You want to try it for a while, yes. Check on your results. If your results were not that great, don't give up. Just change what you're doing. Try a different strategy. Try, if it is, back to the radio example. Maybe you're running your radio spots early in the morning. But again, and this really gets down to how well you know your target market, perhaps the people who are ideally suited to purchase your product are working, they're working at that time. Maybe they're working a shift or something, and they're not even able to come in contact with your advertising. So really take that into consideration with the when. When are they ready to buy? And don't give up too easily in terms of getting your message in front of them. Continually get it in front of their face, in front of their ears, whatever it might be. Okay, so that's the when. What's next? Now we have the why. Why should they buy from you? Okay, and this is where you really have to think about, there's something that's been around for a long, long time in advertising and marketing, which is called the USP. USP. It's called the Unique Selling Proposition. And this is the thing that sets your product or service apart from the product or service of perhaps your competition or anything else that's maybe not a direct competitor of yours, but anything else that's competing for your customers' attention. And maybe, like I say, maybe it's not even a competing product, but it's something else that's competing with you for their attention and their time. Okay? So that's why you have to think outside the box, as they say, and come up with a unique selling proposition. Position your product or service in a way that's different from everything else that they're seeing. Okay? And there's many ways to do that. It could be the way that you present your product. It could be the way that your product is packaged, if it's a packaged product. Or it could be the way that it's marketed, the way that you advertise your product. Can make a world of difference if it's unique in comparison to everything else that's out there. So that's the why. Okay, so the more detailed your image of the ideal customer, and this is your ideal customer, your target market, the easier your marketing will be. The next step is to determine the place where your customers will be most likely to see your message, and not only see it, but be receptive to it, of course. Okay, that's a key. We can get things in front of them so they see them, but are they really seeing them? They also have to be receptive to it. So, don't just start plastering your Buy Me link everywhere that you can possibly think of, or everywhere that will allow it. because they may not even see it in the one case, or they might see it so much that they would find it intrusive. Okay, we talked a minute ago about, that repetitiveness of things like radio advertising and how that's important, but you don't want to come across as being intrusive. And you don't want people to get annoyed because maybe they're seeing your marketing at the wrong time when it comes to what works for them. You need to market to your customer in their language. And we're not talking about, are they Chinese? Do they speak Mandarin? Are they French? And so on. Okay? Notice I've got language in quotes. Be careful not to overdo it, and make sure that you fully understand their vernacular. Otherwise, you run the risk of coming across as the PH word, phony. Okay, and we don't want that. Now, once everything is in place, you can decide on the marketing methods you want to use as part of your overall marketing strategy. But remember, your decision to use a certain method or not must be based on how your target market is likely to respond to it. Okay, and this all returns back to knowing your target audience and knowing how they will respond to certain types of marketing. Because if you try a certain method to a specific type of person, again, it may turn them off. They may see you as a phony. They may think your offer is too good to be true. Okay? So bringing things in like testimonials or proven results that you've received. And don't worry if you don't have a lot of results in the very beginning. You won't, obviously. What you can do is leverage off of other people's successes with the same products that you're using. I'll give you an example. One of the products that I promote is the Empower Network, which is a blogging platform which helps people to get the word out of whatever they want to do, build their business by blogging on a daily basis, showing other people how to do the same thing, and making money doing it. So you have to understand that in the beginning stages, obviously, it's going to take some time for you to build that business up. But there are so many people who've done it before you who are very successful, and it's just really a matter of following in their footsteps, doing what they did, doing it a little bit differently, of course, using your USP, your unique selling proposition, to position yourself slightly differently. But in the same way, you can leverage off of the successes of those other people in order to get it across to your new prospects and your new potential customers that, hey, this is a great thing. And they can be successful at it too. Because when they can picture themselves being successful at it, half the battle is won. So that's what we mean about really getting to know how your target market is likely to respond to your marketing efforts. Okay? So I hope that was helpful, guys. Now, after your strategy has been implemented, from there, it's just a matter of tracking the results. And you should always track your results. Keep track of everything you do. Keep track of when you do certain things, how it is done, the potential market that you were trying to reach and what you think you did reach. think about, if you're talking about a particular campaign, a marketing campaign that you're running, maybe it's something like a solo ad or a pay-per-click advertising. Really keep tabs on that and figure out how successful it has been or how unsuccessful it's been, so that you can go back and make changes and then try it again. Because, to be honest, in a lot of cases, it's a trial and error thing with marketing strategies. Okay? What works one day will not necessarily work the next day. What works for one type of audience will not work for another type of audience. So you have to really keep these things in mind. Another great thing that you can try is what's called split testing. So let's say you want to run an ad and you want people to end up at a particular squeeze page that you've created. What you can do is take half of that potential list that you're sending your ad to and have them go to a squeeze page, we'll call it squeeze page A, which is set up in a certain way with a certain look, with certain text on it that looks a certain way and reads a certain way, and have the other half of those people, those potential customers, end up at squeeze page B, which is set up slightly different. And, all things considered, take a look at the results afterwards and see how many opt-ins you got from squeeze page A as opposed to squeeze page B. And that will tell you, that's what's called a split test, and that's what will tell you how effective or ineffective a particular type of marketing will be with a certain type of audience. Okay? So track those results. Very important. Let's move on. Now, if you follow this basic blueprint, I can practically guarantee it will lead you to success. Okay? This is what so many people are using to be successful. Okay. Now, just like at the end of each of my webinars, I like to finish off with a 5-part action plan for success. So I'm going to give you 5 action steps that you can take right away, put them into practice right away, that are going to help you gain success and make your online business more profitable and more efficient. Okay? So let's take a look at tonight's list. Number 1, show up for meetings on time. It's a huge waste of time when people arrive late at meetings, and the chair of the meeting, out of politeness, would reiterate what has been said in the meeting earlier. Now, I'm sure you've all been in this situation before. So, let me give you this hint. In order to influence punctuality in others, you yourself have to be an example and show up on time for all meetings first. Okay? And we're talking about an online business here, for the most part. So that could be something as simple as, here's one right here that we're doing tonight. I always try to start my webinars on time. Doesn't matter how many people are in the room, have signed in and are ready to watch and listen. I always try to start on time at 8 p.m. Eastern Time every Wednesday night. If I were to all of a sudden start off at 8:15, then people start to lose interest. So that's really important, and don't feel like it's just for a job, for a job, a meeting at a job. This really counts towards building your online business too. Okay? When you say you're going to do something at a certain time, do it. Number 2 tonight, focus on what really matters. Let me explain this one. Here's a very important statement. I'm going to repeat it a couple times for you. Not everything is a priority. Okay? Not everything is a priority. Not everything is a priority. Spend some time on planning to determine the most critical tasks that you need to take on. It's usually much better to concentrate on 1 or 2 priorities and do them really well instead of doing many things and having mediocre results. All right, so everybody's got lots of things to do, right? Doesn't matter what it is. Writing blog posts, writing emails to your list, setting up webinars, advertising on Facebook, posting to your blog, whatever it is. Just keep in mind that not everything is a priority. Spend some time on planning and to determine the most critical tasks that you need to take on. Try to get 1 or 2 of those priorities and do them really well. Do an excellent job at those 1 or 2 priorities and then move back to the others. Okay? Number 3 tonight, end your day on a positive note. Devote the final hours of your workday to some of your least pressured tasks like paperwork. You will feel a sense of accomplishment by completing at least one thing before the day ends. So everybody's got certain tasks that they find to be quote-unquote easy tasks. Things that are, for the most part, mindless tasks that we just do, and it's something, and I know I've talked about this in previous webinars. What I like to do is make myself a list of what I want to accomplish on a given day. And I don't know about you, and if you do the same thing with your lists, it gives me a great sense of accomplishment when I'm able to scratch out one of those items on that list. So try to save those kinds of things till the end of your day. Then you'll finish your day on that positive note. You know that you've accomplished something, even if nothing else went well that day and you weren't able to get anything else done. At least that little task got finished. All right, number 4, moving on. We're almost done here, guys. Number 4, write lists, speaking of lists, and rank your tasks. Now let's take a look at that one. Written lists are one of the best tools for productivity. After you've written your list, give each item a numbered ranking based on priority and go according to that ranking until they're all completed. All right? So yes, making a list, as I just said, very important. It's very helpful because you can see what you have laid out in front of you. It's there in black and white. There's no remembering what that little task was that you wanted to do. It's right there on your list. But take it a step further and not only write down your list, but write down a list of priorities in terms of numbering those items and get them done in that order. All right. Final point for tonight. Number 5. Imagine competition while working. Now, what does that mean? Now, this one only works for some people. I want you to pretend that all the people around you are potential clients judging your work habits. Now, if you're working from home and you're working on your own in your little home office, this could be perhaps the people in your Facebook group or all your friends on Facebook. Imagine them, pretend that all those people around you, it could be It could be your family members if you've got others working with you. Or perhaps you're doing some outsourcing. You've got some people working that come into your home and help you out during the day and then leave at the end of the day. But I want you to pretend that all the people around you are potential clients judging your work habits. Now, imagining this competition will make you work harder and more productively. So anybody in your day that you come in contact with, I want you to imagine that they're a potential client of yours who is judging your work habits. So always be on top of your game. When you are at work, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, when you are at work, even if it's an online at-home business, which most of this is, that's what this is dealing with, it is a real business and you should treat it as such. So when you are on your clock, quote unquote, you are on top of your game. You know, if you need to take a break, go take a break. But when you are doing your business, you should be on top of it. So imagining this competition, this fake competition that's going on with people judging your work habits whenever they come in contact with you is a real kicker in terms of giving you that incentive and that drive to make sure that you're doing things right and you're getting things done and you're doing what you need to be doing to be successful. All right? So once more from the top, number 1 tonight, show up for meetings on time. Number 2, focus on what really matters. Number 3, end your day on a positive note. Number 4, write lists and rank your tasks. And number 5, imagine competition while working. All right. Put these into practice right away, and you will see a gain in your productivity and your success. And with that, I want to thank you so much for attending the webinar tonight. In just a moment, we'll open up the floor for some Q&A. But I want to remind you that these webinars happen every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Each week we'll be covering a different topic to do with internet marketing. And there are 10 webinars in each series. So this one tonight was number 6 in this series. So we have 4 more to go. And then we'll be moving to a different subject for the following 10 weeks and so on. All right? So if you know anyone else who you think would benefit from this information, and before I get that question that I always get, yes, I am recording this, so it will be available. It's available on my YouTube channel, which is Build Your Success Online, and it's also available to you through my Facebook group, which is called, I call it FOM for short, but it stands for Frustrated Online Marketers. And it's an open group that you are welcome to join. So look it up if you haven't seen it already, or if you're not already a member. Please join my group. We like to share information and share our results, our successes, even our failures in some cases, and hopefully learn from each other as online marketers. So again, thank you very much for attending tonight, and I hope to see everybody back here again next week. And now we'll move on to some Q&A. Thank you again, and we'll talk soon.